April 26, 2018 was a significant day for public education in Arizona. It marked the beginning of a 6-day teacher walkout that brought 50,000 protesters to the state capitol, closed more than 1,000 schools, and kept 850,000 students out of class. Though Arizona lawmakers met some of their demands, teachers say they're not done fighting. Let's talk about why. This is AZ Central Rewind. On February 22nd, teachers in West Virginia, frustrated by a pay increase that they said didn't go far enough, went on strike. That strike got the attention of media and teachers nationwide, sparking a conversation about teacher pay and education funding. While striking West Virginia teachers marched on their state's capital, Arizona teachers began organizing on social media, and the Red for Ed movement was born. West Virginia's strike lasted 9 days and ended when Governor Jim Justice signed a 5% pay increase for teachers. Teachers here took notice, and talks of a walkout began. In early March, thousands of teachers across Arizona, many wearing the movement's signature red t-shirts, staged a silent demonstration in protest of low wages. It was the first demonstration of a weeks-long effort to pressure lawmakers into increasing education funding and bumping up teacher and support staff pay. The possibility of a strike was already on people's minds. Then, this happened. Teacher Elizabeth Milich's photo went viral. She was just one of dozens of teachers who shared their frustrations online. Teacher pay in Arizona ranks near the bottom nationally. From 2008 to 2015, the state cut more funding to K-12 public schools than any other state. In total, Arizona lawmakers cut about $1 billion per year from school funding. On April 2nd, teachers in Oklahoma walked out to protest low pay, overcrowded classrooms, and low education spending. The strike lasted 9 days and resulted in a $6,000 raise for teachers and additional school funding. Over the following weeks, the tactics here in Arizona became increasingly dramatic among educators. By mid-April, thousands of Arizona teachers, organized by the Arizona Education Association and Arizona Educators United, took part in a flurry of rallies, demonstrations, and protests. Red for Ed organizers sent a letter to Governor Doug Ducey requesting a meeting to negotiate their demands. The governor didn't respond. Instead, he said this about the movement in a radio interview.
I'm out in public all the time or meet with anyone, but what I don't want to do is get into these political operatives, political circus. I'm avoiding that. I've got a day job. I'm the governor. I want to pass this budget, and if this budget's passed, there's going to be additional monies available for teacher pay.
The next day, more than 100,000 teachers across the state staged walk-ins before and after school. The following evening, Governor Ducey, flanked by superintendents, lawmakers, and education advocates, announced a proposal to give teachers a 20% pay increase by 2020, starting with a 10% pay increase for the 2018-19 school year. Red for Ed organizers immediately criticized the announcement. They said it didn't go far enough to meet their demands, and they remained distrustful of the governor. At that point, talks of a walkout reached a fever pitch. Red for Ed leaders organized a hastily put together poll, asking whether educators would support a walkout. The planned walkout was announced on April 19th, and educators marched on the Capitol on April 26th, more than 2 months after they began organizing on Facebook. In their view, Arizona teachers gave lawmakers ample time to prevent a statewide walkout that was the largest in the nation's recent history. The first day's demonstrations lasted only a few hours, but the footage of the gathering flooded local and national news.
What do I do? What are my options? And I have a master's degree. Not one, but 2 master's degrees.
While protesters chanted outside the Capitol in massive crowds of red, lawmakers inside were gridlocked. Parents across the state were left scrambling for childcare. Criticism was lobbed at educators and the movement on social media. Even some teachers sounded off on the walkouts, saying they didn't support the tactic because it impacted student learning. 5 days into the strike, state lawmakers embarked on a marathon session to finalize the budget, including $400 million in additional education funding. While lawmakers debated, educators and supporters watched from the gallery. And on the morning of May 3rd, lawmakers passed a budget bill. The budget opens $400 million for public schools, including $273 million for teacher pay raises and $100 million intended for new textbooks, buses, and support staff. It is the largest boost to education funding in more than a decade. The governor signed the bill into law that day, and the teacher walkout officially ended. So what did the Red for Ed movement accomplish? Well, they scored a partial victory, and that's why organizers say they'll continue fighting. The walkout itself didn't produce any new education funding. Ducey's funding plan was introduced weeks before teachers marched on the Capitol, and lawmakers didn't bow to educators' push for more money. The mere threat of a walkout is what pressured the governor to propose his education funding increase. What the walkout did do, however, was unify teachers across the state and made their political power apparent. As the summer heats up, organizers are trying to make sure the Red for Ed movement doesn't cool down. In Arizona alone, more than 40 former teachers are running for office in 2018, many vowing to help restore the $1 billion in education funding cuts since the recession. Red for Ed organizers shifted focus toward a $690 million ballot initiative proposal that would help fund education by increasing income taxes on the wealthiest Arizonans. Some Republican lawmakers say Red for Ed advocates and their candidates are pushing a progressive agenda and call the entire movement partisan. Arizona teachers were part of a larger movement that saw tens of thousands of educators in West Virginia, Oklahoma, Colorado, North Carolina, and Kentucky demand higher pay and more education funding. And teachers in each of those states have had to go beyond the classroom and into the ballot box. It's like a real-life civics lesson. The lasting impact of the nation's teacher strikes is hard to predict, but educators appear adamant that they can influence education funding policy for years to come. And that will probably go down in the history books, if schools get the funding to buy new ones. This is AZ Central Rewind, where we listen to your questions about recent events and take a step back from the action to give you answers. Let us know what you think on Twitter or Facebook. For more, go to azcentral.com.